Thank you for joining us. The webinar will begin shortly. If you're having problems with audio, try refreshing or use a different browser. If you have any questions, please make sure to use the Q&A section. We will try to answer the questions in the order that we receive them. Good day and hello everyone. Welcome to our Wednesday event called HRCI Insights. These are episodes that provide insights on current human resources products, services, and technologies. Today's topic is how to turn trends into action so that you can transform your talent operations. My name is Nella Brown, and I will be your host and facilitator today. A little bit about me. I am a Senior Account Manager of Partnerships at HRCI. Throughout my career, I have been involved in all aspects of account management, customer experience, and organizational administration. Currently, I manage companies and organizations within the US that want to help prepare HR professionals in becoming HRCI certified. I'm very pleased to introduce today's speaker. Jason Cerrato is a Senior Director of Product Marketing for AIpowered, which is a comprehensive talent intelligence platform. Prior to AIpowered, he was with Gartner as a Senior Research Director, focusing on HR technology and transformation. Jason was recently recognized as one of HR Tech's top 100 industry influencers for 2021 by HR Executive. With extensive experience in talent acquisition, Jason spent more than a decade with Raytheon Technologies, where he was a Senior Director of Talent Acquisition. In his role there, he was able to recruit and onboard for an enterprise-wide global HR transformation initiative. So without further ado, it is my absolute pleasure to introduce Jason Cerrato, who will share his thoughts and research findings for important trends, such as the rise of hybrid remote work and upskilling and Great Resignation.
Hello, everyone. Can you see me? Can you hear me okay? I'll take that as a yes. All right. Well, good afternoon or good morning to everyone out there. Thank you for registering and attending this session. As mentioned, my name is Jason Cerrato, Senior Director of Product Marketing for AIpowered, and I'm a former Fortune 50 TA leader and HR Tech industry analyst. Over the course of my career, I've held responsibilities for talent attraction, recruitment operations, college recruiting, diversity recruiting, and leadership development. And I've also authored a number of best practice and HR transformation research articles and HR tech market guides. I'm excited to be here with you today to talk about some of the trends and challenges we are faced with in HR here in 2021, and some of the ways AIpowered customers are transforming their processes and view of talent in these challenging times. We're doing a teamwork approach here today, so I'm going to ask to advance the slides as we go. So at this point, you can advance the slides. And what I wanted to do was tell you a little bit about who we are as a company. AIpowered has been growing quickly in service on our vision of finding the right career for everyone in the world. As a matter of fact, we're about to celebrate our 5-year anniversary. I just recently joined AIpowered, and one of the reasons why I was interested in joining the company is as a former TA leader and industry analyst, I saw the explosion of point solutions and AI tools for talent and HR that were flooding the market. And I covered them extensively over my time as an HR tech analyst. And AIpowered has built an AI native and composable platform that consolidates a lot of those solutions into a single layer. In my role as a TA leader, I once worked on a multi-year transformation project to try and consolidate and harmonize HR systems for a multinational organization. And with AIpowered, I found a tool that could be composed around the tools you may already have in place, or replace and consolidate a variety of point solutions into a single platform. As a matter of fact, a number of AIpowered customers, after adopting the tool, have realized the opportunity to sunset as many as 4, 5, or 6 existing solutions with the comprehensive amount of ground AIpowered covers as a solution. AIpowered provides an end-to-end talent intelligence platform that supports talent acquisition, talent management, and contingent workforce management. We have over 100 customers operating in 110 countries and using our software in 19 different languages. If you go to the next slide, let's all take a breath. If you're here today, you've been experiencing this and you know what a challenge it has been to be in HR. To say it's a challenging time to be in HR is an understatement. I mean, these are just some of the headlines from a single month in 2021. There are talent challenges built around changing needs, changing expectations, maybe talent supply shifts. There are diversity challenges as we focus on equity, inclusion, and transparency. And there are organizational challenges. We mentioned hybrid and remote work, but maybe even more foundationally, entirely shifting business models or significant disruption as a result of COVID and the pandemic. Many of us were already working on digital transformation initiatives that were transforming our capabilities and employee experiences, and they were presenting their own set of challenges and disruption. And then just like that, we were hit with a global pandemic that changed everything about the way we work overnight. We move to the next slide. You know, I've always felt not only is talent the most important priority for an organization, but identifying, selecting, managing, and championing talent is also one of the most difficult functions, even when things are quote unquote normal. Today, you know, we have a perfect storm of issues impacting how we look at talent for our organizations. And these factors are forcing us to get creative, to innovate, and rethink the way we've done things in HR, or in some cases, almost even start fresh with many new processes. You know, first, I'm sure you've all heard by now about this Great Resignation. You may have also even heard it referred to as the Great Rehire, depending on your industry. What we're really going through is a great reassessment. With everything occurring in the world, people are reassessing how they want to work, what works for them in terms of work-life flexibility, but also how they manage everything on their plate with all the things that the pandemic has brought to us. And at the same time, organizations are reassessing how they can accommodate some of these requests, as well as reassess how they deliver to their customers and maybe deal with some of this disruption. You know, with any reassessment, there's also a lot of movement. People are resigning to change jobs. People are both retiring early, as well as maybe finally choosing to retire if they were putting it off through the 2010s. And many others are starting their own business entirely. You may have seen earlier this week, you know, the Bureau of Labor Statistics just reported a record high of 4.3 million people quitting their jobs during the month of August. As a result, there's also a reassessment going on within organizations to better understand their talent needs, to tweak or reshape their employer value proposition, and how to articulate and target audiences with the opportunities and career paths these organizations can provide. I think third, there's another issue that's going on is there's a mismatch between the industries where jobs are in need and where people are available. So many people changing jobs are also changing industries, and many organizations are evaluating candidates differently, looking for related and transferable skills. I think we've all felt this, but now we're starting to see it come through in data as we have a little bit more perspective. If you go to the next slide, as if that wasn't enough, you know, unlike other recessions and downturns, we are now working to reopen, hopefully, and get things back on track. But this rebound has occurred faster than other downturns or recessions you may have experienced. I mean, over 75% of the jobs lost during the pandemic are back. Additionally, many other roles and requirements are brand new and may have been created as a result of the pandemic, and these roles never existed before. This creates a pressing need to solve for talent priorities. It also creates a need to consider new practices, new approaches, new mindsets, and maybe even new tools. If you go to the next slide, all of this is to say, if you can advance to the next slide. All of this is to say that these trends are creating a perfect storm of factors that have created challenges for HR and talent teams that we are all working to overcome. And increasingly, it appears as if it's not just an effort to reach the other side of the pandemic, but many of these challenges and changes will be with us for a while, and many of them may be here to stay. First, employers' talent needs are changing, and people can't hire fast enough. Second, organizations now have to expand opportunities for hybrid and remote work, maybe in positions where that wasn't an option, maybe in organizations where that wasn't an option. So the world of work is looking very different. Third, diversity, equity, and inclusion is an increasingly critical consideration for all aspects of organizational talent. And fourth, as the competition for talent continues to increase, understanding, identifying, reskilling, and upskilling an organization's existing talent becomes mission critical. We're no longer in a situation where we can recruit our way out of every problem. And also we have issues with engagement and retention that we need to address. So we need to have a plan for where we're going and how to help get people there. If you advance to the next slide, you'll see here, the first challenge, talent needs are changing and people can't hire fast enough. One of the reasons why everyone is feeling challenged during the pandemic is because many of these challenges were already appearing before COVID-19 due to digital transformation. Traditional talent pools for sourcing are tapped as everyone is recruiting for the most in-demand talent needs. And increasingly, every company, regardless of industry, is becoming more of a data-driven tech company. So we're all looking for the newest emerging skills, and we are competing with everyone in the market, not just within our industry or within a specific discipline. During my time as an analyst, a few of my favorite pieces of research are a couple of things I'd like to mention here. Gartner had done a study where they looked at all of the job postings by S&P 100 companies. And they did this over a series of years. And what they found was that 49% of all job postings by the S&P 100 companies were for the same 39 roles. So again, regardless of industry, regardless of product, all these companies are trying to modernize and transform, and we're all going after the same skill sets. So again, 49% of all job postings by S&P 100 companies were for the same 39 roles. And then looking at the remaining audience there, the remaining 51% of job postings were just for 870 other roles. So even in that other side of the equation, that's not a lot of disparity. So there's an intense focus on talent in very specific talent pools. Looking further, they looked at the companies that are in the stock exchange 100 index. And what they found was that 41% of all job postings were for just 20 roles. And the remaining 59% were for about 640 other roles. So as I mentioned before, this was a Gartner study, and they did this study each year for about 2 or 3 years leading up to 2020. And they also reviewed this separately for the US and for the UK and found the same result. We are all competing for the same talent. And this was occurring even before the pandemic and our world changed. Organizations are no longer able to have static recruitment marketing and employee value propositions for a mass audience. Talent attraction is now candidate and employee centered, increasingly persona driven, and also transparent to help set expectations and explain as much about who will thrive in an organization as who may or may not be a fit. And additionally, with emerging skills and a shorter shelf life for existing skills, organizations are challenged as hiring managers may no longer be the resident expert in defining and scoping a role. So as recruiters are doing intake meetings and working with hiring managers, the way roles are scoped need to be looked at very differently as we're trying to scope roles for a very dynamic market and for a fast approaching future. All of these factors were already putting pressure on talent teams prior to the pandemic. If you go to the next slide, employers must consider hybrid and remote options for almost every role. Overnight during the pandemic, we all had to come to grips with working from home, many with families, home with us all under one roof. And now as kids go back to school and the world opens up, 87% of people want to continue to work from home, and 42% would change jobs to stay working from home. According to Indeed, as seen in the chart here, job postings offering remote work are up 50% compared to spring of last year. And as part of earlier digital transformation efforts before the pandemic, this shift was already occurring. There were predictions made back in 2019 that close to 50% of knowledge workers would be working remote by 2022. But fast forward to today, and it's more than a shift, it's the new way of work. And these percentages will continue to increase. And as much as working remotely may create operational challenges requiring digital collaboration tools and increasingly asynchronous work schedules, the removal of walls and physical locations also creates a great deal of opportunity for organizations to reach new audiences and engage in more strategic talent planning. You go to the next slide. Diversity, equity, and inclusion has become a critical area of focus in all aspects of talent. The number of HR leaders calling DE&I a top priority has increased by 80%. The number of CEOs and boards of directors focused on DE&I has also increased significantly, with the number of companies talking about DE&I on investors' calls increasing by a manner of 10x. And DE&I has also gained a stronger focus across all areas of HR and talent: leadership development, pay equity, HR policies, benefits, programming. And in 2021, the market for HR talent, and especially recruiting talent, is red hot. I'm sure we're all feeling this. We're all having pressure to build our teams and supplement our teams and add to our teams, while also trying to retain members of our team. The number of recruiting positions being advertised is 7 times what it was last year. But more specifically to DE&I, there has been an 800% increase in job postings seeking dedicated diversity recruiters and organizations. All of this is creating quite a turbulent time where the world is moving fast, and we're trying to find ways to work in different methods than we've ever worked before. You look at the next slide, understanding, identifying, and planning for skills becomes mission critical. You're probably hearing a lot about skills. Skills are increasingly the underpinning of talent management practices in organizations and in a lot of HR tech. Skills are becoming a key part of workforce planning. They're becoming a key element of learning and development curriculum. They're also increasingly being used for recruiting, assessment, and selection. However, one of the hardest parts of incorporating skills into your talent processes is understanding which skills you're going to need and how they correspond to your existing roles going forward. In this piece of research from Gartner here, it was identified that the number of skills included in job postings has been increasing 10% year over year. However, 33% of the skills present in a job posting from 2017 are not even needed in 2021. And more than 50% of those skills from 2017 are still appearing heavily in rotation in 2021 job postings. This is important to consider as our historical processes become less and less relevant. People may be hiring externally for some skills that are increasingly outdated, or they may also be training employees internally in the wrong skills, hoping to support the business or advance their career, and those efforts aren't connecting. So we're getting a feeling of spinning our wheels, maybe unfulfilled or unsatisfied hopes and promises, and that also impacts engagement and retention. If you go to the next slide, I think this all comes together, and you're probably getting this feeling, and you know this already. Hopefully it's why you're joining us today. HR has a ton on its plate, but HR is not always set up for success. To date, many organizations use fragmented point solutions for talent management or talent acquisition, creating data silos. Information and outcomes don't always connect as a result. And even with the best tools, having multiple tools can impact adoption, utilization, and efficiency. And fragmented as it may be, HR systems also are abundant with data that often point backwards to what someone has done in the past or how they align to their historic work history, and not necessarily what they are capable of doing next in their career. As we think about a post-pandemic workforce, and in many cases a largely remote workforce, there are a different set of challenges that organizations must now tackle. Not just about ensuring that their people are able to work, but that they're able to grow and develop in ways that help the business compete with agility and resilience to meet the unknown challenges that 2021 and beyond will undoubtedly bring. So if you go to the next slide, remember that first challenge of changing talent needs and a need to hire at both speed and scale? As a former industry analyst in the TA technology space, one of the trends I saw occurring over the last few years was, again, this explosion of point solutions for talent acquisition and talent management designed to help address automation, identification, and operations for talent. There have been tools created to enhance and innovate just about every step of the talent process. I'm sure you've heard from many of the available vendors in this space addressing candidate experience or recruitment operations or matching or assessments or virtual assistants. There's a solution for just about every step of the talent workflow these days. But one of the most intriguing things about what AIpowered offers is how it consolidates a great number of those point solutions into a single composable platform, helping drive efficiency, unify data, and increase adoption. For example, for talent acquisition, AIpowered provides talent matching capability, a personalized career site, sourcing support, a full CRM offering, assessment and screening capability, and even interview scheduling and virtual events, all in a unified workflow. AIpowered provides an AI native talent intelligence layer that can help drive enhanced capability and operational efficiency, as seen in some of the examples here on this slide. We have a job calibration step that lets the hiring team refine who they want to target based on skills and experience. Our personalized career site offers a unique job discovery experience focused on the candidate or employee. The ability to source from your own talent network allows organizations to move much faster and more efficiently. And with job calibration behind it, the system helps find you people with a strong potential to succeed and maybe even re-recruit people hiding in your database that you weren't able to find otherwise. Our CRM offers candidate engagement that helps you present the most relevant information to each person. And scheduling and interview feedback are built right in, are fast and easy for the recruiter, and it can help get you to an offer quickly. AIpowered gives you a single platform for everything you do from requisition to hire, and your decisions and actions at each stage help further train the AI to give your recruiters and your candidates the best guidance so you can make every decision even faster and better over time. Now on the next slide, one of the most exciting features to me as a former TA leader is the AI-powered personalized career site. Here's a couple screenshots here to give you a feel for what this could look like. But candidates coming to your career site no longer have to search for jobs using keywords and drop-down menus and radio buttons to try and understand how their experience and skills map to your organization, or how their experience maps to your departments or your functions. Instead, they load or create a quick profile, and the system matches jobs to them automatically and explains to them why they are a match. This transposes the way most career sites work, as it's entirely built around the talent rather than built around the position or the requisition. And it's a great example of candidate-centered design. The personalized career site shows people jobs they are a match for, while still allowing them to search all jobs if they are interested, but at the same time presenting them with relevant marketing materials and company information based on their profile and the makeup of their interests and their search and criteria. It also includes profiles of people they may work with in this role, and includes an embedded chatbot if they need assistance. Using skills and insights, it also explains to them during this process why they are a match or why they may not be a match for a given role, giving additional transparency and explainability into how the system is recommending roles for them or not. This helps increase transparency for candidates and helps demystify how they align with the organization. It also helps cut down time for applicants, searching and trying to navigate how your career sites are structured. It builds stronger slates for recruiters, as well as an increase in applicant flow and diversity by matching people based on an AI-enabled dynamic skills engine that helps cast a broader net, drawing in individuals that may not have realized they were a match for a given role, or that they could be considered maybe for a different department or a different function. So it's a completely different experience, and one that I like to highlight when I talk about Eightfold with individuals. If you go to the next slide, we start to address challenge 2. With roles increasingly opening up for hybrid and remote work, this allows organizations to move beyond maybe telecommuting around a headquarters or a territory to the ability to strategically search for talent in markets that organizations may not ever have been able to consider without relocation. Eightfold's talent intelligence and analysis capabilities allow you to visualize your talent funnel and run dynamic reports that allow you to compare the available talent pools in the market to your existing employee base. Our analytics capability can help organizations identify where talent resides in the market based on geographic availability, as well as which universities and employers are commonly producing or employing people with these skills. It wasn't too long ago, back in 2018, it was very big news when a major consumer goods company announced they were removing location as a barrier for leadership positions in their organization. You no longer had to reside or relocate to their headquarters. You could work anywhere in the world and be considered for leadership roles with this organization. Now, flash forward to 2021, this approach is becoming increasingly common, but HR doesn't always have the tools to direct talent teams how to operate in this new world. And if we do, the data may reside somewhere outside of the systems in which we're actually operating in every day. So here is another example of how talent intelligence and operations and strategy can come together to allow for greater agility. If you look at challenge 3 on the next slide, to help address diversity, equity, and inclusion efforts, organizations have been looking at talent pools and job requirements to try to expand their audiences, or maybe remove organizational or societal barriers to inclusion. With talent intelligence, you can begin to do things like examine your talent funnel for pipeline diversity, as well as review audiences by critical skills, or even more importantly, adjacent skills. Understanding how skills impact diversity can help companies from posting inhibitor skills required in a job that end up deterring candidates, and allow them to create approaches that invite more people into the process. For example, on this slide here, let's take this scenario. If you were looking to hire project managers, our data highlights how you would be 1.5 times more likely to find female candidates if you looked for or included mentions of product management instead of product development. Or another example is you would be twice as likely to find female candidates for product manager roles if you looked for strategic planning versus business development. With adjacent skills, intelligence, and talent pipeline visualization, not only can you help reach a broader audience, you can see how your current approach may be hindering your results, or how you can tweak your process to identify hidden talent that may be in your system already expressing interest, but just not aligning with roles in the right way. So it's a very powerful tool, and increasingly a solution that's presenting itself in the market. And we'll talk about that a little more in the upcoming slides. If you look at how we're also addressing D&I on the Eightfold platform, our platform allows for resume masking during your recruitment and screening process, where you can hide certain fields to certain users at given stages like name, university, or other descriptive fields. And you can also try to control for any bias in your process through a blind review. Additionally, since you're running your process through the system from requisition to hire, You can use our analytics dashboard to review representation by stage and see where in your process people may be falling out of consideration or what that means for diversity representation. These features, combined with some of the other elements we talked about, such as our personalized career site, can work together to help organizations operationalize their DE&I efforts. For example, there was research from Harvard that illustrated how women tend to apply only to jobs they feel they are a strong fit for and 100% match. One of the things we've identified across our current Eightfold customers is that through candidate personalization and AI-guided matching, it's helped result in 60% more female applications on average for Eightfold customers, regardless of industry. So with dynamic skills and skills intelligence and our AI and machine learning, we're providing additional contextual data and guidance that are helping bring some of those DE&I opportunities to the forefront. If you look at the next slide, regarding the challenge of understanding and identifying skills, as organizations try to plan for the future and employees desire career growth and some semblance of a path or a plan, there have been a variety of ways talent acquisition and talent management teams have tried to tackle this challenge. How can you deliver personalized, meaningful, real-time experiences for hundreds, let alone thousands of employees at scale? With a combined talent intelligence platform, one of the primary solutions that we attempt to provide is a way to address this through an internal talent marketplace and career hub that provides career pathways. Because each employee, regardless of where they are in their career, has their own history, goals, and aspirations. And those aspirations might be the next role, or maybe it's a role that's 3 or 4 or 5 levels away. What is missing is often a way to identify how to help them get there and visualize that they have an opportunity to grow and that there's a way that they can own their career and drive efforts and methods to get them on that right path. Using purpose-built artificial intelligence helps employees understand the skills they need to gain or improve on to step closer to their goals. And the magic is then delivered in the form of the right content to the right person at the right time. If you look at the next slide, this shows you what this looks like in reality here. Meeting each employee where they are with career pathways that are personalized, timely, and also aligned with the business are essential for career development, retention, and engagement. And this is also increasingly difficult to pull off in a remote environment, maybe where water cooler conversations or everyday interactions take on a different look and feel, and what's available to someone may not be as readily apparent. Or maybe the work that someone's done or capable of may not be as readily known to the other team members. So these tools can be used to identify different types of opportunities, whether they're highlighting full-time roles within an organization, or maybe short-term projects or volunteer opportunities, all in the process of identifying, developing, and tracking appropriate skills. Also, based on some of the research that was shared earlier, it's important to identify the training and opportunities that are most relevant to the organization and the employee. So individuals aren't spending time getting trained in skills that may not be needed by the organization or may not help the employee along to their path to that next project, role, or promotion. Eightfold can help with career planning and internal movement, also through identifying skills, mentors, and corresponding training to help people along their journey in a way that's both meaningful to them and the organization. And if by chance an internal employee is not selected for a role they may have applied for, our pathways offer guidance on what they may have been missing, as well as recommendations on tools and mentors to help them get there. Because one of the challenges people are going through now is as people look internally to hire people, if those internal employees aren't selected, that may also lead to retention and attrition issues if they feel that there isn't a path. We help shine a light on that path and also identify maybe what they were missing and how they can acquire those skills. If you go to the next slide, really all of this comes together Our Eightfold customers are experiencing a variety of outcomes through combining intelligence, experience, and operations into a single workflow. We help arm talent teams with deep insights occurring both inside and outside their organizations to help make more informed talent decisions through additional context and pipeline visibility. We provide a single platform and help consolidate the needs for a variety of solutions into a single provider. As mentioned, career sites, chatbots, CRM, virtual events, career planning, again, just to name a few. And with an inclusive approach and increased transparency, we work to help support organizational DE&I efforts, empowering candidates and employees to better understand how they find their way within an organization, and helping organizations better understand the talent present across their entire workforce. And with insight, experience, and operational capabilities, all coming from the same tool in your tech stack, we help increase utilization and adoption. So the next slide identifies how this all fits in with your core HR stack today. You know, your enterprise HR systems are your foundations, and they provide necessary functionality. These are your systems of record, and they were designed to help you manage process and compliance. You know, these tools could be your applicant tracking system. Maybe you have a human capital management suite or a learning management system. Eightfold is designed to be your system of talent intelligence. And as an intelligence layer, we bring publicly available data and our global data set into your process as well. You know, Eightfold unifies this data with two-way integrations to your core systems and works to ensure that your data are clean and compliant. The entire end-to-end talent intelligence platform offers 3 modules. Talent management, which focuses on your employees. This module delivers personalized career paths, maximizing employee productivity, and helping address retention. Eightfold's talent acquisition module offers AI-powered candidate and recruiter experience and workflow tools, ultimately reducing time and cost to fill. And our Talent Flex module can be used to focus on your extended workforce of contingent workers. Eightfold Talent Flex lets you use AI to analyze, select, and plan for contingent workers so you can bring the contingent workforce into your overall strategy efficiently and effectively. As a comprehensive platform, we work to address the business challenges we've addressed here today. Fragmented systems, a lack of skills information, maybe a lack of a common language for talent, overall candidate experience and now employee experience, as well as diversity, equity, and inclusion. So if you go to the next slide, here are just a few of the activities and capabilities we hope to help Eightfold customers enable. Benchmarking skills to the market, as well as shaping your development and hiring activities at scale, maximizing your ability to mine and re-recruit your existing database, and properly target and source new applicants, while tracking and visualizing diversity and critical skills, and providing operational dashboards and virtual recruiting tools along the way. And helping visualize and explain how talent flows through your organization to provide career paths for employees, strategic planning for organizational leaders, and a window into the opportunity that applicants are considering as they're exploring your organization from the outside. You know, HR technology has moved from being descriptive to predictive to prescriptive. You know, I read something yesterday that was an analogy that kind of stuck with me about kind of where we're headed and where we're going. It was the realization that, you know, when you're driving in your car, you know, we've had GPS systems that used to tell us, you know, how to get somewhere. Now, increasingly, they're offering up suggestions starting to tell us where to go. I think that's the type of future we're hoping to build here as well, with dynamic skills, insights, and talent intelligence.
Jason, thank you so much. I definitely want to be mindful of the time. It's 1:40. I really do appreciate your insights. I was wondering if you can share the slide about how to get best in contact with you. And then we can get into the Q&As.
Sure.
Okay.
Sure. I had that one slide there left just to go through if there was time. If not, I know people will receive a recording, but we do have the final slide there that shows examples of some of the ways customers are achieving outcomes using Eightfold. But here's our contact slide if you'd like to get in contact with us and set up a conversation, maybe a demo or an overview specific to your talent challenges or talent needs. As I mentioned, we offer an end-to-end platform, but also it's entirely composable and can be deployed module by module.
Excellent.
Was there a chance to go back to that last slide?
We're just going to go straight into the Q&A,
Okay.
If that's okay with you.
Sure.
So there were so many questions from the participants that dealt with D&I, artificial intelligence. We'll try to make sure that we can get to all of them. So thank you so much for putting questions in the chat and the Q&A. So for the first one, D&I has become a critical area of focus in all aspects of organizational talent. Can you provide examples of how leaders can make this a strategic initiative in this quarter and beyond?
Sure. Today we're focusing on technology and products and new solutions, but I also think there are other things that need to be addressed beyond just technology. There are some foundational steps like addressing organizational culture or improving policies and benefits. But I also think you can leverage technology to be able to scale initiatives into programs and then processes. I think this helps to operationalize DE&I efforts for greater impact. I also feel that removing friction across HR processes and increasing transparency can eliminate ambiguity. And in the DE&I space, that can go a long way. Even just in today's stressful world with everything weighing on people, reducing ambiguity and reducing friction can go a long way with engagement and retention. I also think having a full view of your talent pipeline, whether they be applicants and candidates or employees, as well as contingent workers, can allow leaders to make more informed talent strategies. And given the dynamic nature of skills these days, it allows you to have more of market visibility to what's happening outside of your four walls or virtual remote four walls these days to be able to prepare inside for any potential disruption.
Excellent. There's a lot of debate of artificial intelligence. How does AI affect talent operations and goes along with the D&I efforts?
So I think AI helps empower recruiters and allow them to work with the technology to work faster and have more information at their fingertips. We're not at a point yet where there's any tool that is, delivering talent gift wrapped in a box with a bow. But the incorporation of AI-powered capability combined with market data provides recruiters with more information to make more informed decisions. It also allows recruiters to extend their capability and be able to cover more ground. And for candidates and employees, I think it gives them additional insight into where people like them have gone in the organization and allows for a more personalized approach. And I think maybe even most importantly, it allows us to have more of a forward-looking or market-driven perspective than always relying on historical data.
Excellent. And so if I'm hearing you correctly, AI can also help HR teams and leadership better understand the talent gaps. Can you talk a little bit more about that, trends that you're seeing upskilling organizations and the talent pool?
Sure. I think it's important to be able to identify which skills are emerging in the market, as well as which skills are beginning to expire. That's why you're hearing about skill ontologies and this concept called dynamic skills and its growing importance, as the ability for organizations to predict what may be needed is getting less and less effective or having a shorter shelf life. I think AI functionality like our jobs intelligence engine helps fill in some of those gaps in profiles and job descriptions with updated and dynamic data. That's always updating. It adds additional context and it adapts to developments externally and internally over time. I think this allows for organizations to read and react to the market in a more agile way.
Perfect. Another topic of high debate is, like you mentioned, 87% of people want to continue to work from home. What are some of the reasons management is really pushing hard for people to return back into to their cubicles?
So I think part of it may be culture, trying to change the culture, trying to influence the culture. I think part of it is some of the kind of synergy that occurs, or informal learning that occurs in organizations. Like I said, some of those water cooler conversations, or if you're going through onboarding and you're onboarding remotely, you don't realize how much learning occurs off the side of your desk just by people passing by. But I also think, whether it's full-time remote or hybrid, work from home isn't necessarily something that is going to be just getting us out of this pandemic. It's increasingly here to stay. So we have to find ways to manage that through collaboration tools, through real-time insight, as well as the ability to be strategic in some of our talent decisions, especially where we're competing for some of the same talent. I once heard, this phrase, and I'm sorry, I can't attribute it to who said it, but it always resonated with me, is that it's also a challenge for managers to learn how to manage remotely. It's a totally different dynamic. And one of the things is, a lot of organizations have phenomenal managers, but a lot of organizations have managers that may not be the best at it, or may need to develop and hone their skills. And sometimes walls help managers that may not be as skilled at leading large teams or dynamic teams. So I think there's some things where, even if it's a hybrid approach, we're all going to have to get better at the new way of work, whether it's real time or asynchronous or around the world. I think it's here to stay.
Excellent. Thank you for that. Shifting to businesses and potentially recruiters, right? As you mentioned, it's a competitive job market. What are some ways that recruiters or organizations can make their company or job roles stand out?
So one of the things that I think a solution like ours can provide is, in the results slide that was there from what our customers are experiencing, one of the things that efficiency and automation and consolidated functionality has resulted in is it's given organizations back time. Recruiters aren't spending as much time gathering things from different locations, or battling disparate systems, or trying to understand how talent is flowing from one system to another in different processes. And I think with that time, it allows individuals to figure out where it makes sense to go high tech and where it makes sense to go high touch. And in critical skill audiences, diversity audiences, it gives organizations a chance maybe to hone their outreach, tweak their messaging, but also build relationships. And because technology is becoming more efficient and more real-time and more dynamic, maybe we're not as burdened by some of the transaction-based systems we've had in the past, and we don't have to hide behind systems and process as we've done, and people can get more out in front of it and do more actual recruiting, talking about emotions and motivations and value propositions. And I think that's one of the ways where it's that efficiency benefit where you start to shift work from less value added work to more higher value added work, where we bring the human back, and we start engaging people, the right people at the right time, at the right place.
Perfect. So many companies had to do, as you mentioned, a mindset shift. And so what should be a company's purpose right now if a lot of them are just trying to survive? Any trends that you've done with your research looking forward into 2022?
Sure. It is still, like I said, a perfect storm of factors and things influencing this process and working against this process. So I know there are organizations that are still going through a lot of disruption and survival. As an analyst, I used to work with companies who were considering tools like this very early on in the pandemic, maybe for redeploying their existing workforce to address new projects, or to develop new teams, or to avoid furloughs and layoffs. Today, there are still some of those kind of survival efforts going on, but increasingly tools like this can be used to help with engagement and retention, maybe not for survival as it was maybe our first instinct, but as 2020 and 21 started to progress, I saw conversations shifting from survival to sustainability. So talent intelligence provides additional insight for leaders on what is happening in the market and how to be more strategic in their talent decisions, but also how to plan for the future when we're realizing the future is getting here faster and faster.
Excellent. I have about 2 more questions.
Sure.
Terry had mentioned that diversity and inclusion is essential, and a lot of companies really want to tap into that social purpose. But it's a hard time sometimes to sell that to upper management and to get resources. Any recommendations for the future for that?
So I do think with some of the tools we've talked about here today, it's increasingly possible, but also increasingly expected for outreach to be personalized and for content to be relevant to me. So with visibility to your talent pipelines and to the talent that you're going after, you should also be producing content and information relevant to those audiences. And I think with the visibility and intelligence we provide to leaders on the talent external to their organization, the talent knocking on their door, and the talent within their organization, you can use some of that data to have some of these conversations around programming, benefit changes, policy awareness, employee resource groups, other things that you can then layer into this effort to, again, like I said, turn initiatives into programs, into processes, and do them at scale.
And what are some companies that are currently either leading the D&I revolution or the working remotely or upskilling? Any case studies or examples that you can provide of companies that are leading those efforts?
So I know I had several of them on that slide there. I will say, there are organizations in a variety of different industries, whether it be Raytheon Technologies, where I used to work, whether it be PepsiCo, Gartner. I've had a chance to work for quite a few that are moving almost increasingly virtual or entirely virtual. I also think, with tools like this, like I said, organizations are making strategic talent decisions to say, how can we expand our reach, maybe tap into new markets, maybe build a new facility in a new market, but maybe we don't have to, and we can go entirely remote and virtual. We've seen situations with our customers where they're increasing their internal hiring as a result of some of these tools, or maybe some of their re-recruiting of existing applicants. We've also seen increases, like I said, of the representation and percentages of diversity talent flowing through their processes. So I think there's a lot of, the way I used to refer to this as a TA leader is there's not a silver bullet, but once you have all the information and visibility to the data, you can start to tweak the dials and turn up the knobs in different areas and put this all together for greater impact.
Perfect. And I know that you recently just started at AIpowered, so thank you so much for providing us an overview of that. But I'm really curious, what are some of the trends that employees are expecting in 2022? That staggering percentage of 87% want to continue working from home. Are there any other useful information that we can share with our community today?
So I think increasingly we're moving. So we went very quickly from on-prem to remote. I think increasingly we're going to be moving to more asynchronous. So I think it's not just work from home, it's maybe work from anywhere, and increasingly anytime. So there are some tools that allow for that a little better, or maybe just some management practices around expectations, around responsiveness, or when information gets sent out, or when meetings are held that employees are looking for. From a career perspective, I also think, as I mentioned, the transparency of what opportunities are available to me here And maybe a tool like Eightfold that helps me identify things that may not have been evident to me are increasingly important. One of the things that I often talked about as an analyst and as a TA leader was how, large enterprises have been fighting the fight of a generation of employees who came out of college hearing about, you're not going to go work somewhere for 20 or 30 years like your parents did. And you're going to face a career with multiple employers and more project-based employment, and a career that kind of looks and takes the shape of that. I think tools like some of the things that we offer with internal talent marketplaces and career pathways open up doors and create visibility, maybe for a project-based approach, but allowing you to keep it within the same organization with the same logo on your paycheck, and allowing organizations to kind of build that sustainable, forward-looking approach for how they maintain their talent.
Perfect. Great, Jason. Well, thank you so much for your time. And we're really grateful for the wonderful presentation that you gave us today. As always, we hope that you come back and share more of your knowledge and
Sure.
expertise with us.
Okay.
And on behalf of all of our participants that joined the call, we're really excited for you to continue joining these sessions. These HRCI Insights is basically to give you more information about tools that can potentially help you in your role as an HR pro. And so we have some other series like these coming back up. The next one is going to be on November 3rd, and it's going to talk about the challenge of how to retain your talent and a possible solution that can help you out. And obviously, we have an amazing community joining us today. I see that everyone has been sharing their LinkedIn. We also have a group of over 20,000 individuals on LinkedIn called HRCI Voices. So please make sure to go onto hrci.org/voices to join us there. And don't forget to sign up for our newsletter so you can stay in the know of all of these events, even our summit that's coming up on October 28th. And last but not least, we have our recertification activity ID. It's good for 1 HR credit, and the activity code number is 570842. Again, that's 570842. So we'll leave it up for a couple of minutes, but thank you so much for joining us today. Thank you, Jason and Eightfold, for giving us an overview of that tool. I hope everyone on this call learned a lot about the different trends that we will continue seeing and might be here to stay. So thanks, everybody, and have a wonderful day.
Thank you.